Yo, book fans. I'm really in a bit of a state as to what to say about Heather. In general, I really enjoyed it. I did. I thought it was... I thought the beginning of it was fantastic. I'm going to be honest, because I think that G.C. McKay would want me to be honest. And I did think the beginning was fantastic. The end, we'll get to that. Why did I think the beginning was fantastic? I was hooked. I was hooked on the character. I was hooked on the voice of the character. I thought it was fantastically written. I loved the style of the writing, very formal with a huge lexicon, and that character pasted in a cafe situation over the other characters who were speaking like chavs with their language and their slang. So it was nicely done. It was very nicely done. And I feel at the beginning of the book the character had that relatability there, so that it was clear the character was an asshole, but we also, with certain lines, certain sentences that G.C. McKay had obviously crafted, I felt that I could relate to those things. So there was of course the character was dark, there was a certain likability to the character, which I thought G.C. McKay really pulled off. So, credit to the artists for that. The tension that rises throughout the book is brilliant. I'm not sure about the chapter numbers, but as I was reading it up, the tension has a very nice escalation to it, which is just brilliantly done. And it took me 4 days to read. I did have to force myself to put it down because I know that I have other things to do. But there were moments where I said to myself, I want to keep reading, and for that, G.C. McKay has done an absolutely marvellous job. I will say it's one of the best books that I've read in quite a long time. I haven't read a good book, one that I really thought was gripping for a while. As gripping as this book is so gripping. It latched onto me and held me. I've mentioned on my channel before that I'm a huge fan of Paulo Coelho, and feel that the last book that I read which really gripped me that much was Veronica Decides to Die. And I read that. I've left a review on my channel of that. I can't remember how long ago, but it definitely was last year in, I think, the summertime. So it has been maybe 6 months, and I do read a lot. So, yeah, this book was gripping on the level of writers who are not indie authors, on the level of writers who have been published authors, So I really thought that by writing this book, G.C. McKay has crafted what I would definitely define as a work of art. And I would recommend you to read it. Just going to pause. Talk about the voice of the character that I've mentioned. Some lines here which I'm going to read out, and I hope G.C. McKay doesn't mind. But I really like these lines. But all this was nothing more than a ruse of my mind's design. I had to dwell on that and think about it because I thought it was just a nicely crafted expression of life as it is. The room itself even took on a different tone at this point. I think that one is really nice when it's in context. Just the way that idea is expressed. The capriciousness of her personality had waved more red flags than a deathly favourite pastime of a Hemingway afternoon. Just love the rhythm of that sentence. and the idea there, not a favourite pastime of Hemingway, but a favourite pastime of a Hemingway afternoon. I thought that was a really nice touch. So the wordings are, some of the sentences have been really just beautifully crafted, but the original, I'm not going to spoil that one for you because that's a gem of the book that if you read it, you'll stumble upon it and you'll go, that's great. So, and the mirroring echo chamber of our very unique design. It's what our telephones are and our laptops are, mirroring echo chambers of our unique designs. Fantastic. What a great mind G.C. McKay has, and what a beautiful way he has of expressing those ideas about the world around us through this character who is despicable, who becomes so much more despicable throughout the course of the book. So at the beginning he doesn't seem so bad, as at the end when you go, whoa, oh my god, this guy, man, Jesus. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, and that's why I recommend you read it, because I hope it will grip you as much as it gripped me. So pause again. Another thing I thought was fantastic was the contradictions in the character. So there's a part where the character says, I want to protect her, but I also want to protect her from the monster that is myself, which is a great contradiction, and it's a great thing to just, and it runs through the whole book. There's many parts where that contradiction plays out. There's many things that the lead character says that also fall back onto the original idea of that contradiction. So I felt that it was directly stated once within the book, but it was thematically produced throughout the whole of the novel, and I thought that was fantastically done too. It's also what I noticed about the novel was that there's one line here about Lolita, where the lead character, Michael, says, "It's the only novel I've read where the unreliability of the narrator is trounced by the increasing undependability of its reader." It's great that G.C. McKay has been aware of what Lolita did, and also he's replicated that in this book. The unreliability of the narrator is trounced by the increasing undependability of its reader. That's something that I feel that I can't really explain how that's done, but that is an idea that is obviously was part of Lolita. It's an idea that came into this book as a discussion between the characters, and it's what this book does itself. So there was the whole kind of dream within a dream within a dream kind of effect happening, which I thought was wonderfully done. And a point that I want to touch on about the whole red, blue, black pill, pink, purple pill, whatever this stupid community really is, that I have followed it being a red pill person, or kind of just dabbling on the outskirts of those ideas, but ultimately in the end decided to just avoid, because the whole thing is toxic. And that's what I want to say about the book, is that as for me, and I don't know if this is how G.C. McKay intended it to be, but the whole book is a map of toxicity, in the sense that the lead character is a toxic male. The women around him, Heather, the Dungaree Club, which, by the way, brilliant antagonists, also replications of toxic femininity. So, as for me, as I'm reading it, everyone in this book is toxic, and I hope that's what G.C. McKay's intention was to display behaviour from all of the characters which was completely, utterly toxic. So not only is the lead character toxic, and it's a brilliant portrayal of that, but the female characters here are toxic too. And just have my fingers crossed that that was G.C. McKay's intention, because that's exactly what I saw in the book. And I just thought that was a fantastic element of that novel, that there was this toxicity and every character was manipulating every other character in some way. So you had this ultimately despicable anti-hero or lead villain who was doing the narration, but then ultimately the people around him were also doing manipulation in their own ways. So I thought it was a brilliant sketch of toxic behaviour. And another thing I want to quickly touch on is the plot. As I said before, I love the way that it escalated. I do feel that it escalated very well, and then it suddenly extrapolated itself, and until I was suddenly just totally confused by this just abundance of events that were happening all together at the end of the novel with increasing rapidity. And I feel like it caused me a lot of confusion as I was reading it because it just happened too quickly. It had a very nice thread of escalating drama through it, and then suddenly it all just exploded, and I had to flip back through the book to read, wait, what? Oh, this is happening. Oh, and now this is happening. Oh, and now this is happening. I felt that it just over-escalated to where it was just entered into the realm of the unbelievable, and I found myself kind of chuckling at certain last notes of it that happened, because too much had happened by the end. And I have to say that when it switched, the ending switched over when he was talking, and I don't want to spoil it, but the tense shift, it wasn't a narration anymore, it was a direct communication, and I have to say that I didn't particularly enjoy that. However, it did lead to a very nice last chapter. I thoroughly enjoyed the last chapter, and I think that tonal change was necessary to bring the book, the novel, around into a complete package. So I can't say that I enjoyed the transition into that communicational shift of narrating versus direct communication, but I do think that it worked for the final chapter. And that's all I've got to say on the book. Please leave your comments below. GC McKay, if you happen to watch this, be interested to know what you think about my review. And I do want to congratulate you because overall I think it's a fantastically written book. I have to say that I really enjoyed it. Congratulations on finishing it. I can only, my absolute respect and credit to you. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.